Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new series, Investing 101, investing in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. My name is Olive Garcia, and owner of Lizzie's Your How to CH. What we'll be doing is we'll be going through a lot of these financial type short courses, and it's all geared towards assisting you in achieving your financial freedom and growing your wealth portfolio. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So I'm going to share my screen now and go through the presentation. So, in school, we would have been taught that saving was important, and we would have usually been directed to open a savings account, usually through a bank or a credit union. But we were never taught that we could own a piece of a company or even received dividends as a shareholder. Each one of us at some point in time would have either purchased grocery items, personal care items like, creams, perfume, toilet paper, right? And did you know that it was possible for you to own or even receive dividends as a shareholder from these companies that you buy their products every day? So before we dive in, please note that this information is provided strictly for educational purposes and should not be taken as financial advice. So in this mini-series, what we'll be looking at is the following areas. What is investing? We'll be looking at the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange and the process you use in creating an account, choosing a broker, choosing companies to invest in, the concept of dividend and the broker commission and taxes. So what is investing? And according to Investopedia, and you can just click on the link and go to Investopedia, they have a wealth of knowledge there and stuff that would aid you in your financial journey. According to Investopedia, investing is the allocating of resources, usually money, with the expectation of earning an income or profit. As financially savvy people, we want to become investors and not savers. As investors, we can invest in a number of things such as stocks, bonds, property, commodities such as sugar, oil, gas, and precious metals like gold, platinum, silver. In this series, however, we'll be focusing strictly on stocks and bonds. Okay, so had a bit of a glitch there. So we are looking at the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. So a stock exchange, sometimes called a security exchange, is a place where stockbrokers and traders can buy and sell stocks and bonds and other financial instruments. Each major country would have a stock exchange, and some of the more popular ones are the New York Stock Exchange, that goes by the symbol NYSE, or the local stock exchange, symbol LSE, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, HKEX, and in Trinidad and Tobago, there is the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, which is TTSE. The TTSE carries a listing of approximately 27 companies with 29 securities as at 31st of March in 2019. Securities are listed on the stock exchange according to company name, symbol, sector, and type. So you see here we have some examples. We have First Citizens Group Financial Holdings Limited. Their symbol is FCGFH. They are in the banking sector, and the type of shares is equity shares. Same thing with Republic Finance. It's RFHL, banking, equity. We have Massey Holdings, which is a conglomerate, and their shares are also equity shares. We have Grace Kennedy Limited, GKC. They are also a conglomerate, and they also have equity shares. We have the National Gas Company, which is in the energy sector, and they also have shares under the equity type. And under manufacturing, you have National Flour Mills. So choosing a broker. So as an inexperienced investor, you cannot contact a company directly and request to purchase their shares because you are an individual. I know major companies may be able to do that. That's where you hear about mergers and company takeover, and probably a company buying the majority shares in another company and taking it over. So we are not at that level. We are the inexperienced investor. We are a single entity, and we don't have that volume or that amount of money to make deals at that level. So we cannot go to a company directly and say, hey, I want to buy $1,000 worth of shares in your company. That would not happen. So what you do need to have is the assistance of a broker, sometimes called a stockbroker. And a broker is an individual or a company that acts as an intermediary between an investor and a securities exchange. Some local brokers, BORS for us in Trinidad and Tobago, BORS Security Limited, First Citizens Brokerage and Investment Services, JMMB Group, that is the investment part of JMMB, and you have the Republic Securities Limited. So when you have selected your broker, there are a number of documents that you would need to submit to open a brokerage account, such as your birth certificate, proof of address, if you're married, your marriage certificate, and you also have to have enough money to fund your account, of course. Depending on the broker you would have selected, the initial investment could be anywhere between 500 TT to 20,000 TT. It all depends on the stockbroker, the brokerage house that you decided to choose, you decided upon. So once your brokerage account with your selected broker has been approved, you have one of two options. You can contact your broker each and every time you wish to purchase shares on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, or you can purchase the shares on your own through the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, meaning that you create an account on the stock exchange and you do your trading on your own. So we would go through these steps and to create an account on the stock exchange, and I will just pause the presentation at this point and go directly to the site so that you can see step by step live how it is. You go through the process. Don't worry, the steps would be available in the printout, which is available for download. Right, so now we are going to, let me share my screen again, and we are going to go to to Google. So we just type in Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange here, TTSE. You can just put in the acronym and you would see Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange come up here. So you just click on it. So it usually takes a little while to load, well, depending on your computer's speed, of course. Right, so we're going to the home page here, and you would see that there are different buttons, different things available on the main page. So you have home, you have investing, you have market data, issuers, member firm, register. So register is the one that we are interested in. Once the page is finished loading. Right, so you just hover over registration and you go down to the online trading registration and you click on that button. You will be directed to a secure login page. Right, so if you're an existing user, you just put in your username and password. But if you're a first-time applicant, you click on sign up. So new user, sign up. And you can see there are different fields that needs to be completed and different levels. So all you do, you plug in your information. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you go through the series of steps until you get to the end and complete the process. So I wouldn't go through this because I already have an account. So I would not want to have to create a second account. And so once you have successfully created your account, then you go to secure login, the secure login page again, and you put in your credentials and you enter the site. So I will just stop share for a moment to put in my credentials so that we can see live the process after you have created your username and password. Right, so sorry about that, had a little glitch. Right, so I am in my account now, the account I would have created on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. So you would see when this is the main screen that will come up once you log in, and you would have entered your your secret passcode. So you would see it has the account name, the account number. This is the account number that you would have set up with your broker. The available balance. Your status is approved, mean that you are approved to trade on the stock exchange, and well, view details. So once you get into this module, before you can make any purchases, you must, of course, fund your account. So in order to fund your account, you select the button here, Fund In, Fund Out Request. You must make a request to fund your account. You click on that button, and then you complete the transaction here, which is as well pretty self-explanatory. You select the account that you want to deposit the money to, and you put in the amount of money that you're going to take from your account, from your personal account, or whichever other account that you're using to fund this, this investment account, and you put in the quantity of money that you are going to upload. Right, and you review the request. So this is fund in, and remember to make sure you select the correct one, because fund out is if you're taking money out, right? And then you just go through the process and your account would be funded, right? So it's pretty straightforward. So then the next thing that you do after you have funded your account, you would go to trade and either place an order or view orders. So you can view orders as will show the history of transactions that you would have made over time, and it would ask you to select, you know, what type of report you want to generate. So if it would have been filled, and from, say, we're looking from January of this year, and you want to select all the statements, or if you want to select a specific company, and you click search. Right, so these were two orders that were done in this year, one for TCL and one for Grace Kennedy, and the amount of shares that was purchased and the price that it was purchased at, also the date the transaction was done. Right, so it's pretty user-friendly. So you should really have no problems. Now, if you want to place an order, you have to select the account that you're going to use. It's a buy order. You have to put in the symbol of the stock, and we would have gone through that previously when we were looking at some of the companies that trade on the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. We are putting in the number of shares we want to purchase, right? And the dollar value, that is how much we are willing to spend on this stock. And good till date is, it's a setting that is used. So if the shares that you want to purchase, if you want to purchase it at a particular price, so say the TCL shares is trading at $3 today, but you don't want to pay $3 for it. You want to pay probably $2.75 or $2.85, sorry. What you do, you set the date. You set a date, so it probably for a month, and the transaction would be good until that date, and then it will cancel if it doesn't come to the price that you were looking at. Or if you wanted to go through today, then you set the price for today. You set the date for today, and you buy at the market price. Right, and then you review the request, and they would place the order. And once, remember, it's not you alone who will be trading on the stock market. So once they get to your request, or or say the volume, whoever was purchasing a higher volume, they would have already gotten their stuff, then your order would be filled, right? And that's basically it for placing the order. Under markets, so it will show you all the companies that are listed and the price, right? So we're seeing that the market is closed now. These were transactions. So you can also look here to see what was the bid price and the ask price for today for the different stocks. Right, and then when you have your settings tab where you can customize or secure or change, your security settings. Right, so that is basically it for setting up your account on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. So we'll go back to the presentation now. Right, so as you can see here, I would have highlighted some of the steps to go through, so you can go through it on your own time at a slower pace and set up your account. So now we are choosing companies to invest in. So we would have, set up our account. We would have funded it, and now we are going to choose companies to invest. And when choosing companies to invest, and it is important to do proper research before the selection process is completed. Know that investing comes at a risk, and you should be mindful of your tolerance level. Please pay careful attention to this. Persons would have invested their money thinking that they would reap some very high rewards, and then things went sideways, or they stuck in the company like NGL recently. NGL went down since COVID. There wasn't a lot of natural gas being processed or shipped or whatever, and the price of the NGL stock went down to about $13 or $12. A lot of persons would have sold their stock, sold their shares at a loss because they were panicking. However, when the majority starts to panic sell, that is the time that you choose to buy. You buy when stocks are low, and you sell when they are high. That is how you make a profit. You don't panic sell. So now NGL is back up to about $18, I believe. So some of those persons will be holding their hair and trying to pull it out, saying, oh, I should have held on to my stock. Right? But that's just a sidebar. So your preferred broker would usually furnish you with a weekly market overview, along with the week's stock picks and high dividend stock. However, this is not financial advice, and you must carry out your due diligence before selecting any stock. At the end of the day, they're providing you with the information. It is up to you to decide whether or not it is you're going to invest in this particular company or companies. So dividends. So dividends are distributed profits of a corporation, business, or business to its shareholders. When a corporation earns a profit or a surplus, it is able to pay a portion of the profit as a dividend to shareholders. And we will be familiar with this in the credit union setting here in Trinidad and Tobago, where every year once there's an AGM, the company credit union would say what percentage of the profits they are paying out in dividends to the shareholders. And they would usually say, well, we are paying 4% this year, but you have to put back 2% into your shares and you get to withdraw 2%. That is the same concept with dividends for companies. So any amount not distributed is reinvested into the business. So your broker commission and taxes. So every time you place a trade, whether it's physically, and I mean physically calling your broker and saying, can you place this trade for me? Or you go on this Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange and you place the trade for yourself. Every trade comes with a fee called a broker fee or a broker commission. This fee varies across brokers, and you should inquire about this from your broker before you choose or select your broker and set up your account, because that fee, it's mandatory. You must pay it in order to submit your request. When you place a trade to purchase shares, this fee will be shown in the transaction results along with the cost of purchasing the shares. As such, you should factor in this fee when considering purchasing to ensure that you have sufficient funds to cover your transaction. So if you're holding shares of stock, you may need to pay capital gain taxes when you decide to sell the shares for a profit. So, and sometimes it's not even for the profit. So like the example with the NGL shares, where persons would have sold their shares for a lesser price than they would have purchased it for. Once you are redeeming or selling those shares on the stock exchange, you must pay income tax on that capital, the capital investment you would have done initially. The long-term capital gain rate depends on your taxable income and filing status, and it should be noted that these fees are deducted by the broker before the money is paid out to you. So you don't have to worry about calculating how much tax you have to pay. Once you submit a request to sell shares, the broker will do that calculation and take out that money before you receive whatever funds is left based on the amount of shares that you would have sold. And that's about it. You have it there, a quick and easy way of setting up your brokerage account and beginning investing. So some other resources that you can use is investopedia.com. Like I said, they are a great site for persons new to the investing arena. They have a lot of learning tools available and material available on their website. And the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, they also have some training and educational material available. So thank you again for going through this mini series, 101 Investing in Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. With me, your host, Olive Garcia of Lizzie's Your How To Sage. Please leave your comments and any questions you may have, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Thank you.